What am I supposed to do with my life? It's a question almost everyone asks. At some point, some people seem to know from childhood. They want to become a doctor, an artist, a musician, an entrepreneur, a teacher, an athlete. They seem to have a direction. And then there are the rest of us, people who are asking, what is my purpose? Maybe you've changed careers, maybe you've tried different things, maybe you've followed what you thought you were supposed to do, only to discover it doesn't feel like you. And perhaps the hardest part is watching other people appear to have figured it all out. But what if purpose isn't something you simply find? What if it's something you gradually discover, develop, and create? We sometimes talk about purpose, as though there is one perfect answer waiting somewhere, one career, one passion, one calling. And if we can just discover it, everything will suddenly make sense. I'm not sure that's how life works. You may have more than one purpose. Your purpose may change. What gives you meaning at 20 may not be what gives you meaning at 50. The person you become can change what you care about. A young person might find purpose through exploration. A parent might find purpose through raising children. Later in life, that same person might discover a passion for teaching, creating, or helping others. Purpose doesn't necessarily have to be one thing. It can be a direction. And perhaps that's an important distinction. You don't necessarily need to know, what is my purpose? Perhaps the better question is, what direction makes me feel most alive, useful, and authentically myself? One of the first places to look for purpose is surprisingly simple: your own life. What makes you curious? What do you naturally spend time thinking about? What problems do you find yourself wanting to solve? What activities make you lose track of time? What conversations could you have for hours? What subjects do you keep returning to, even when nobody asks you to? These clues can be easy to overlook, because we often dismiss the things that come naturally to us. We think, everyone can do that. But perhaps that's precisely why you should pay attention. What feels ordinary to you may be valuable to someone else. Purpose doesn't always arrive as a lightning bolt. Sometimes it's hiding inside the things you've been doing all along. There's another idea I think we should question. The idea that everyone needs to discover their one great passion. For some people, passion is obvious. They've known what they love for years. For others, it isn't. And that doesn't mean something is wrong with them. Sometimes passion develops after we become good at something. We practice, we improve, we become competent, we start contributing, and eventually we begin to love what we do. Purpose doesn't always come before action. Sometimes action creates purpose. And purpose doesn't necessarily mean turning your passion into a business. You don't have to monetize everything you love. You can love painting without becoming a professional artist. You can love football without becoming a footballer. You can love your family without turning parenthood into a career. Sometimes, purpose is found in what we give, not what we earn. Perhaps one of the most powerful clues to purpose is contribution. Ask yourself, who benefits when I do this? It could be your family, your customers, your community, your students, your colleagues, a patient, a stranger, or simply yourself. Because contribution doesn't have to mean changing the world. Sometimes it means changing someone's world. A teacher helps a child believe in themselves. A nurse comforts someone on their worst day. A parent gives a child security. A builder creates something people need. A taxi driver gives someone a safe journey home. A volunteer gives someone their time. None of these things necessarily
perhaps that's
make
another
headlines,
misconception about
but they can make
purpose.
life better. Purpose doesn't require an audience. You don't need millions of followers. You don't need a best-selling book. You don't need to become famous. Sometimes, purpose is quietly happening in front of you every day. So if you don't know your purpose, what should you actually do? Perhaps stop waiting for the answer. Experiment, try something, learn something, volunteer, build something, write, create, travel, talk to people, take a course, start the small business, join the community, help someone, and pay attention to what happens inside you. What gives you energy? What drains you? What makes you curious? What makes you want to improve? What problems do you care about? What experiences keep pulling you back? Because sometimes, you don't think your way into purpose, you act your way into discovering it. And failure isn't necessarily evidence that you've chosen the wrong path. Sometimes, failure is information. It tells you something about yourself, about what you value, about what you don't want, about what you need to learn. The journey itself can become part of the discovery. Perhaps the most important thing is giving yourself permission to change. The career you wanted at 20 doesn't have to be the career you want at 40. The person you were doesn't have to determine the person you become. You can start again. You can change direction. You can discover something new. You can combine different interests. You can build something alongside the life you already have. And sometimes, your purpose isn't found by abandoning your existing life. It's found by bringing more of yourself into it. Maybe purpose isn't a destination, waiting somewhere in the future. Maybe it's the direction you choose to move in today. So, how do you find your purpose? Perhaps you don't, not all at once. Perhaps you discover pieces of it, through curiosity, through experience, through failure, through relationships, through contribution, through the things that make you feel alive, and sometimes through the things that break you, and teach you what really matters. Your purpose doesn't have to look impressive. It doesn't have to make you rich. It doesn't have to make you famous. And it certainly doesn't have to look like somebody else's. Perhaps the question isn't, what was I born to do? Perhaps it's, who am I becoming? And what can I contribute with the person I'm becoming? Because maybe purpose isn't something you find at the end of the road. Maybe purpose is something you build as you walk it. Perhaps it's simply something you do because you love it. And if you're fortunate enough to already be doing something that gives your life meaning, perhaps you don't need to escape it at all. The question isn't necessarily, how can I make money from my passion? Perhaps the deeper question is, what makes me feel most alive? And then, how can I create more room for it in my life? Get Out Rat Race isn't ultimately about escaping employment. It's about escaping the idea that external achievement is the sole measure of a successful life. Someone could work for a company for 40 years and be completely fulfilled. Someone could run a £10 million company and be completely miserable. Someone could earn £30,000 and have an extraordinarily meaningful life. Someone could earn £300,000 and still feel empty. Someone might discover their spark through entrepreneurship. Someone else might discover it through teaching. And someone else might already have discovered it and simply not realize that what they're doing is their form of self-actualization. Money can give you options, but it cannot decide what you should do with those options. And perhaps that's one of the deepest ideas sitting underneath Get Out Rat Race. The rat race isn't necessary.
Predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence. It wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. A few years ago, I started studying grit in the Chicago public schools. I asked thousands of high school juniors to take grit questionnaires, and then waited around more than a year to see who would graduate. Turns out that grittier kids were significantly more likely to graduate, even when I matched them on every characteristic